today's victory over yourself of yesterday.
起用は昨日の自分に打ち勝つである。宮本武蔵。Every generation creates its heroes. Some admire wealth, some admire beauty, some admire power. But across centuries, across cultures, there is one figure we never seem to forget. The samurai. Why? It can't be because of the sword. History is filled with warriors. It can't be because they won every battle. Many didn't. So what is it about them that still speaks to us hundreds of years later? Perhaps because the samurai were never trying to conquer the world. They were trying to conquer themselves. And maybe that is the hardest battle any of us will ever fight. Because life doesn't ask whether we're strong when everything is going well. It asks who we become when everything begins to fall apart. What does it mean to become someone who cannot be shaken? That question brought me to Okazaki, the birthplace of Tokugawa Ieyasu, home to one of Japan's most important samurai museums. I thought I was coming here to learn about history. I didn't realize history was about to ask something of me. Hello and welcome back to Noe Rose Travels, a journey through the world in search of the places that don't just change where we go, but who we become. In the last episode, we traveled through the ancient ruins of Okazaki Castle, a fortress built into the mountainside that once stood as a symbol of power, only to become a quiet reminder that even the strongest walls are temporary. It was a story about impermanence, about the things we build, the things we lose, and the quiet freedom that comes from accepting that nothing lasts forever. Today, that journey continues from the ruins of a forgotten fortress to the birthplace of the men who would unify Japan. A place where history asks a different question. Not what we leave behind, but who we choose to become. Welcome to Okazaki. We are in Okazaki today, and I came here to visit the Okazaki Park where there's a apparently amazing samurai museum and the Okazaki Castle that you see right there, and more. This is what's called the Wisteria Gardens. You can't imagine how beautiful it would be, right? And right to the left will be the castle. This is part of the Okazaki Castle, which is now part of the Okazaki Park. So you can imagine back in the day that this would have been, I don't know, some arena. Who knows? Look how cute this is. Originally, this wasn't where I planned to spend my final full day before arriving in Kyoto. Most visitors come here for the castle. Some come because this is the birthplace of Tokugawa Ieyasu, the men who would eventually unify Japan and establish a shogunate that shaped the country for more than 260 years. Not simply because he unified Japan, but because of the qualities that allowed him to do it. I came for a different reason. As part of the Okazaki Park, walking distance from the castle, is the Samurai Museum. And for reasons I couldn't fully explain, I felt incredibly drawn to it. If you've watched the recent series, Shogun, where the character of Lord Toranaga draws heavily from Ieyasu's story, the more I learned about him, the more one quality kept returning. Not brilliance, not force, patience. Patience doesn't make for spectacular history. Battles do, victories do, great speeches do. Patience is quieter. It's easy to overlook. Until you realize how often history has been shaped by the people who refuse to rush it. Years before Japan became a destination, I had the privilege of training for a time under Grandmaster Janjin Sanbek. I thought about that experience often over the years, never enough to fully understand why it had stayed with me so deeply. Perhaps some questions simply wait for the right place before they begin to answer themselves. I'm in the keep of the Okazaki Castle, and these are the views from here. It's so nice they let you come all the way up here. That's where I was earlier. So you guys are getting a 360 of Okazaki from the keep of the Okazaki Castle. So after you play after you do all these stamps, this is what you get. This image. Isn't it cool? You can see an example of how she's doing it. This is such a fun activity to do at the top of the castle. Okay, so I'm going to redo it just for you guys. Put ink on the thing. Everything. And you never get your hands dirty either. The last one, this is what it looks like. And ta-da! That's what you get. Over here. Ta-da! Museums have a way of freezing history. Everything is carefully preserved, every object protected, every story given a place. Yet standing here, I couldn't shake the feeling that these weren't relics of a forgotten world. They were reminders that someone had once lived by principles, demanding far more than physical strength. The first thing most people notice is the armor. Its remarkable craftsmanship. Layer upon layer of iron, leather and silk. Built to protect the body without sacrificing movement. I couldn't help wondering how many lives had once existed inside these suits. Not legendary warriors. Just people, men, who woke before sunrise, who felt fear, who made mistakes, who carried responsibilities larger than themselves. History has a way of turning people into symbols. Museums quietly return their humanity. It's easy to romanticize the sword. Films have taught us to admire it. Stories have turned it into something almost mythical. But the more I looked at it, the less interested I became in the blade itself. A sword is only as honorable as the person holding it. Without discipline, it's just steel. Walking through these rooms, I kept thinking about a season of my own life when I had the privilege of training under Grandmaster Zhenjiang Sangbei. I remember the repetition, the stillness, the insistence on doing the smallest movements so well. At the time, I thought the lessons were physical, partly mental, spiritual. Standing here, I began to wonder if they had pointing somewhere else all along. One of the things I appreciated most was learning more about the women whose stories have often remained in the background. History remembers great battles. It doesn't always remember everyone who stood within them. The image of the samurai has become almost entirely masculine. Reality was more complex, and I think more interesting. One afternoon at the Okazaki Castle, and just in Okazaki, period, is not enough. I was going to make a day trip out of it and even go to 2 other places. Just didn't have time because Okazaki Castle alone
Turn left.
is pretty amazing. Not to miss. And I'm walking back to the train station. It's about 10 minutes from here, so it's about to get dark, probably within the next 20 minutes, 15 even. So I will see you back in Enakyo. Last dinner at Enakyo Grand Hotel. These are chestnuts, local chestnuts. Simple noodles. ありがとうございました。Last dinner here at Enakyo Grand Hotel. Look at the wine pour. The museum was behind me, but it hadn't left me. Some places continue speaking long after you've walked out the door, not because they overwhelm you, but because they quietly refuse to let go. Last night, over dinner, I kept returning to the same thought. What made the samurai remarkable wasn't that they carried swords. It was that they believed character deserved the same discipline as skill. I wondered how often we forget that today. We invest in our careers, our appearance, our knowledge, but how often do we invest in the person we're becoming? Late last night, as I was starting to pack, a passage from Miyamoto Musashi came back to me. There is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. Everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself. For a long time, I thought travel was about finding something, a place, a feeling, an answer. But really, the greatest journeys don't give us something we didn't already possess. They simply remove enough noise for us to recognize what has been there all along. This morning, the river flowed exactly as it had the day before. The mountains hadn't changed. The hotel hadn't changed. Even Ena was waking up just as it always had. The only thing that felt different was me. Not in some dramatic way, not in the kind of way that changes your life overnight. Just enough to notice. And really, that's enough. By evening, I had arrived in Kyoto, a city I've dreamed of visiting for years. Tomorrow, a new chapter would begin. New streets, new temples, new stories. But as the train carried me west, I realized I hadn't left Okazaki behind. Some places become destinations and others become companions. I had come looking for the legacy of the samurai. I left thinking less about warriors and more about the quiet work of becoming someone whose character remains steady, even when life isn't. This is why these journeys matter. Not because they change who we are, but every so often, they remind us who we've been trying to become all along. Hi guys, just wanted to touch base with you a little bit because I haven't posted much today. Actually, I haven't posted anything simply because I spent the day at the hotel. I arrived last night in Kyoto. It's beautiful. I walked around a little bit, but today I wasn't feeling good at all. And so I took it easy and took advantage of doing laundry and catching up on some work and also just enjoying this hotel. I'm staying at the Umekoji Hotel, Kyoto Hotel. It's a really beautiful hotel and it's a very fun hotel. Each floor has 5 floors. Each floor has something special, like a game room and a music room, a coffee station, a drink space, and a library. I will, of course, post something about this hotel later. But in the meantime, it's time for dinner, so I'm on the hunt for some ramen noodles. ナイナイ、さよなら。